before I preach, that's awesome thoughts, Brother Lester, and great music tonight. Thank you so much. Tomorrow, around the world, people will be riveted to the first game of the World Cup. And we're going to piggyback off that for a little bit with some games and some stuff that we're excited about, some stuff we just kind of dreamed up while we were traveling. My wife and I were talking. Am I on? Am I not on? I'm on, but I'm not on.
Yeah, you're on.
Okay. Having a buzz.
Yeah, it's not you. It's not you.
Okay. Anyway, so somebody asked me, where's the U.S. jersey? That's a good question. I get these jerseys when I travel out of the country, and I guess I never got a U.S. jersey yet, so it could happen soon. USA. See? We'll put it in the back pocket, see if it just kind of. What's up?
Replacement time.
I apologize. I might have to just go with the handheld and just, it's going to buzz all night. Just bring that handheld.
It wasn't that loud either.
I apologize.
You have the one on the stand.
I can barely hear the buzz.
Barely hear the buzz, that's enough for me. All right, let's try that. Okay, so let's bring it up on the screen, some of the stuff that's going to happen in the coming weeks. Some stuff that we're going to do here. All right. The words have disappeared, but the ocean is still there. Okay. All right. So, we're not going to Brazil. I apologize for that. But we will be doing a lot of different soccer type events, and we'll be announcing some other stuff. But big ball soccer is coming here. Anybody ever played big ball soccer? Bones usually can be broken, so you have to be ready for that. It's going to be a great game. Skills challenge. We'll put some things out on the field and see how good you are with your soccer footwork. And you have to be good at soccer. You just got out there to have fun. A 5-person shootout, and that's basically the game goes in overtime, goes in another overtime. It ends in a shootout. So it's you against the goalie from about 15 feet out. And well, the different groups will line you up as far as who's playing it. And then we'll have the end of the 6 weeks or 4 weeks, there will be a 6-on-6 tournament. And so there will be prizes, there will be a lot of different, we're going to do some international food things and some other things that will play into this whole World Cup idea. And so just feel the spirit of that. I may even give away one of these shirts. I'm thinking about that to the person. We're going to have a visitor or friend contest. And so we want to encourage you to bring your friends during the summer, and we're looking at going to a DC United game, and we're going to be taking some people that are free. If you bring enough visitors, if you bring 3 or more, you're going free. Okay, and then with the most visitors, we're also going to throw a jersey in for the person who brings the most guests with them. And these have to be first-time guests. These can't be people that we saw 6 weeks ago and you think I have amnesia and I can't remember that I saw them. So I won't worry. But it's going to be fun, and I'm going to give the leaders, we'll talk, if I can have the leaders meet with me after the service back in the office for a few minutes. I would appreciate it.
Hey, Pastor, are we auctioning off those shirts?
Auctioning.
We need funds. Mr. Reverend, we have issues. We need funds.
Did I hear 500? 500. Pesos. I think I'm getting ripped off. I'm not sure I think the youth group is losing money on that. 1 Corinthians 9. 1 Corinthians 9. 1 Corinthians 9 and verse 24. Know ye not that they which run in a race run all, but one receiveth the prize? So run that you may obtain. In other words, he's saying, run to win. We're all in a race. Life, the human race. We're all in it. So if you're going to be running the race, if you're going to be living life, why not win at it? We'll put a statement up on there. We've got several slides that we're going to be looking at tonight. I believe every single person is born with a desire to win. A desire to be significant. A desire to put their time and energy into something that's so valuable that the cost does not matter. Do you believe that? Is that not true for many people, and maybe you? That there are things that you're willing to do to put your time and energy into, and it does not matter how many times and how much time and how much energy and effort or money or whatever it is, it's worth it to you. It's valuable enough to you. It's significant enough. For some, it's a car. We're gonna just. Anybody handle that right there?
That's an automobile.
That's me.
That is an automobile.
That's
Yes.
an automobile.
Some are driven by possessions. They have possessions. Others are driven to accomplish things, such as this next guy. She knows who Michael Jordan is, but not the other guy.
Good.
No, not good.
Driven to beat this guy, right? I don't know if he's that driven or not, but I know that the media and everybody in the world hypes it up like this is his life goal.
Yes.
All right. Now the next one is how some people view this.
Yeah, that's true.
Tiny
Okay.
might have to be big.
Somebody. Seems legit.
Tiny big.
Then there are some who are driven by trophies.
Nadal.
Everybody gets trophies.
Anybody know this?
No.
Nadal. You tennis players know who that is. What did he just win?
French Open.
Which one was it for him?
9th.
His ninth.
Sorry.
So now he doesn't just get the trophies, he eats the trophies. He just takes a bite there.
Ew.
Amen.
You take a bite of a trophy?
Okay. We're gonna need to.
Come on, son.
So no.
We're gonna need a little assistance. She's getting into the message real well. All right. Then there's the next one. This is the guy that didn't make the World Cup, Landon Donovan, and this would have been his 4th World Cup. He's been one of the top players, but people are driven about so many things. Some of us will give our lives to make money. Show me the money, right? Some want to have a certain title, or I'm somebody now. I'm a Harvard graduate, I'm a college graduate, right? Others have hobbies. This guy's actually a brain surgeon. That's what he does. No, personal development, body development, whatever. People are, a lot of different things people are driven to do. Now, the question is, will these things ultimately satisfy? Because we're willing a lot of times to put a whole lot into them. Are we not? Are we prone to chase after our dreams? and put a whole lot of emphasis. I want to submit to you that you were placed here on this planet, that there's something that you and I are called to run after. And it's so great that it's worth it. And there are other things that we run after that are not worth it at all. I'm going to give you two stories in one verse tonight. Okay? Two stories and then a scripture verse, and we'll wrap it up tonight. This past week, I traveled to Ohio. This is the first. The first story is. This is the first. I call the first story. Next one there. The butcher, the baker, and the candlestick maker. Now, I do not know the butcher. I do not know the candlestick maker, but I do know the baker. All right. He just got married this past weekend. And he was a former youth group guy. I'd almost call him a youth group junkie. All right. He loved our youth group. There's the man right there. All right. Tyler. Chris Baker, excuse me. Chris, 6'4", and his wife, about 6 foot. I'm back here behind him. That's the tallest wedding I've ever been in. I'm telling you. I almost needed stilts. But Chris Baker, from 2004 to 2010, or maybe even 11, I've lost count. This guy was in our youth group. His family moved to Indiana when he was a junior. And he still would come all the way from Indiana to the ranch to be in our youth group. He'd show up, be the first one at the Franklin Road Christian School gymnasium. He's there, right? And then year after year, he'd be there. He's first baseman. He was our guy, and he was there. Loved our youth group, loved camp, and loved his youth pastor. Well, about a year ago, he gave me a call and he asked me to be part of his wedding. And as you know, I was performing. You see me there. I was the pastor performing the wedding, and I was glad to do it. And it brought me great joy to see him get married. He asked to be a part of it, and to be part of a special event in his life. But that's not the most special part. He also invited me to come early and hang out and go to a Cincinnati Reds game. And he bought all my food while I was there, and that was pretty special. But that wasn't the most special part. You see, he really asked my father to do the wedding. And he asked me to be his best man. And that was the special part. That somehow I had become significant enough in his life that of all the men that he knew, he asked me to be his best man. And that blows me away. Here's a second story, and this will all fit together in just a minute. A well-known fact is that I came to this church 22 years ago to be youth pastor. That's a well-established fact. It's been my joy. I have loved every minute. I'm living my dream to be the youth pastor and director and to work with these leaders through the years and to see you young people raise up. And then some of you come back, and be leaders in my group. Brother Stefan was one of my teens years ago, and now he's old, and I'm still young, and I don't know how that worked, but we've known both success and failure. We've known growth and decline. We've had wins and losses. We've had bus breakdowns, and occasionally buses that didn't break down. We've had delayed flights. We've had spiritual growth and we've had spiritual desert times. We've seen revival and we've seen mere survival. A little known fact. I think we're moved on. I think we're somewhere else. I think we're still somewhere else. We're a little known fact. Okay. A little known fact. And I'll just point to you so you'll know. You're good. You're good with it. Is why I came here. Why did I leave a church in Georgia that had 500 members to come to a church in Maryland that had less than 200? Why did I leave a youth group that had over 100 to come to a youth group that had, when I first came here, 8 teenagers? It wasn't the money. It wasn't the traffic. It wasn't even that it was my home church. It was my dad. I came to be here with my dad. My mom too. But really, I have said this, I wanted to work with my father. Because that was the acceptable way of saying it. That's not the actual truth. The actual truth is, I wanted to get to know my dad better. That's why I came here. Because in the heart of every little boy, your father is your best man. He's your idol, good, bad, or ugly. Your dad is your best man. He's your ideal, your standard, your pattern, your goal. You say, I don't have a dad. Intrinsically, whether you have a father in your life or not, you're a whole lot more like him than you realize. You've got things in your life from your mom and from your dad. You've got his DNA. And you've got a heart that beats to know him. Girls or guys. And I know, as I'm getting into this can be painful to hear and think about. You know, from day one, my boys, when I had boys, as soon as they realized they were a boy, and I was a boy, it was on. It was wrestle time. It was take down dad so you can be the champ of the house. Literally, as soon as my sons understood that they were a boy, and the boys wrestle and fight, right? It was on. And they would climb on top of me, we'd wrestle around, and they'd pin me, and they'd go running off with their little diaper swinging in the back. I beat Daddy! No lie, all of them. All of them. And then, it was outrun me in a race. Or who's going to be taller? They couldn't wait to be taller. Look at all of them, except for one so far. They've all accomplished this goal. I am their standard, and it's a low standard, I understand. I'm a low standard. I've got a low standards when it comes to height. They just raced on by. I'm keeping Nick down for another couple of years. All right? But they beat me in that race to be taller. They want to beat me in basketball, and that's not happening for all of them yet. All right, they're working on it. But I know this can be a painful subject. I know some of you got some rough situations with dads, and I get it. I'll tell you this. I've got some pain in my heart too. I came here 22 years ago to get to know my dad. My father is a very private person. He is great on the stage. He is a great pastor, but he is a private person. Nobody knows my dad. Nobody. I tried to crack that case. I tried to find the combination. I remember maybe 2 conversations in 22 years that have gone beneath the surface. Just telling you. So if you're grieving the fact that pastor's leaving, know that I'm grieving it 1,000 times more. I don't want him to go. But I hope that this has made you feel some emotion about the longings you have for your dad. Because you don't have to like or even feel love toward your dad to long to have a dad that loves you. I believe every single one of us in life have unfulfilled longings. These particular longings point us somewhere, though. They point us somewhere. So, where do they point us? Well, there was 2 stories, and I told you there's 1 verse. Philippians chapter 3. Verse number 8. It says, yea, doubtless, which means yes, without a doubt. I count all things but loss for the excellency or the surpassing value of the knowledge of Christ Jesus, my Lord, for whom I have suffered the loss of all things, and do count them but dung or sewage, that I may win Christ. The longings that you and I have, listen, my children will never have a perfect father. I'm going to fail them. Your parents will not be perfect. They will fail you. But their failures point us in the direction of a father who will never fail you. Never. I don't believe that God intends for our parents, our fathers, to be able to completely fulfill us. Because there's a space, there's a God-shaped space, vacuum in our life that only God, only Jesus can fill. And Paul said, listen, I've got a lot in my life that people think is good. I've got accolades, I've got credentials, I've got things that I've accomplished. He said, none of them have the value of knowing Christ. None of them are significant. None of them really meet the core need of my heart, like knowing Jesus. And I have to say to you, that I've spent way too many years in my life trying to find other things to make me feel significant, to fill my life. And there's nothing that has the value that the world says it has. Yes, I want to have a significant relationship with my dad, my mom, my wife, my children, my friends. But that's not going to scratch the itch that I have deep inside me. It's just, there's something in all of us that we're trying to fill it with the wrong stuff. You're chasing stuff. Right now, you're chasing things. You're after stuff. You keep going back to that same well, trying to fulfill the thirst, and you'll never be satisfied. Never. And Paul had tried all of those things, and he got to the place where he said, there's only one thing that has the value, the excellency, that's worth getting rid of everything. He said, I count everything else but loss. There's only one man worth pursuing. It's Jesus. It's Jesus. Ladies, I'm sorry to disappoint you, but it ain't a guy. You're going to be sadly, sorely disappointed if you're chasing after a guy and you think that's going to satisfy the true longing of your heart. Obviously, God set it up where He doesn't want us to have necessarily be alone in this world. But truthfully, it better be alone and not have friends but have Jesus, and have all the friends in the world and crowd Him out. And some of you, maybe tonight, you're sensing He's crowded out. You don't have time for Him. You're not pursuing Him. He's not on your radar. But I'm going to tell you, He's in your heart. He is a part of you that is crying out to you. If you're a believer, He wants to walk with you. In fact, this whole thing, we got turned on our head back in the garden when the first man was walking. Adam was walking with Jesus. This was his Father, his Heavenly Father. He's walking with Him. He's spending time with Him. And then sin comes in, and it messes the whole thing up. And so the rest of the world, it's, Milton wrote it called Paradise Lost. We lost paradise, and we're still trying to get it back. And the only way we can get it back is go back to the source and go back to what Jesus originally intended, and that is to have that walk, that relationship with Him. I'm going to talk about that over the next 4 or 5 weeks, what that looks like, what it's going to cost. There's a cost. There's a trade-off. Paul said it's worth it. It's worth it. Would it be worth it to you to lose everything? To give everything up? And say, God, here's my future. I don't need to get married. I don't need to go to that college I've been dreaming about. I don't need to have the money I think I need to have. I don't need to have that car I've been dreaming about. I don't need to have whatever it is. Because Jesus, you are all I need. You're all I want. You're more valuable than anything else. Think about a few things as we wrap it up. Would you spend some time this week in pursuit? Pursuit. Paul said, hey, it cost me something. I gave up things. But it really didn't matter. He says, like, dung, sewage. Some of the stuff that we're hanging on to, it's like sewage. If you saw a pile of sewage in this room right now, you'd gag you. But some of us, we're holding on to sewage. Stuff that doesn't mean anything. Would you do me a favor, do yourself a favor? Would you dig into this verse this week yourself? You know, Bible study is not rocket science. It's meditation. It's exploring every single word. It's asking God, what does this mean? Who was it written to? Why was it written? God, what are you saying to me? How can I apply it? That's Bible study. And if you dig into the Word, God will speak to you just like He does to me. Just like He does to others that teach. Listen, would you give up something for Jesus this week? Give up something. Next week, I'm going to ask questions about this verse. What you've done. What you found when you dug into this. What did you find? And I'm going to ask you, what did God ask you to give up? And what was that like? Probably, that's good.